Hi, everybody. David Fogel, CEO of the Symphonina Foundation, back with you for another podcast. And I'm joined today by world-class violinist Bernadett Nyari. Bernadett was born in Hungary, in Budapest, and we have our own connections with Budapest as we regularly rely on the Budapest Scoring Orchestra to record things that go on our annual album. It's hard to speak this morning. How are you doing, Bernadett?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much.
Bernadett, you have traveled the world. I've traveled the world a little bit, I feel like, but I can't say I've been to 90 countries, and I also can't say I performed in Carnegie Hall, but you can. Can you tell us a little bit? And we'll get to how you came to be a violinist in a minute, but what are the things that strike you as you've traveled around the world performing for everybody? What's been your takeaway so far?
I started to play the violin when I was 6 years old, and my biggest dream was to play around the world. And I must tell you that thank God, fortunately, this happened, and it's still happening, because I think I started to travel from the age of 13.
Wow.
And then even more, of course, when I turned 18 and 20. And I have been, of course, I cannot say I have been everywhere, but I have been in many places, many countries. And I love it because I met with so many different people, so many different cultures, so many different music. And I love how music as an international language actually can connect all of us. And that was actually the best experience of mine all these years, because I noticed that doesn't matter that we don't speak the same language. I could still give on stage performing with my instrumental music. I could give people joy, happiness. I could bring back memories. So yeah, I think I am very, very, very blessed.
I'm sure every country offers something positive to remember, and probably the other way too. But let's pick one of your best memories. What's one of your best memories as you've been traveling in 90 plus countries?
It's very, very, very difficult to say because there are so many. But if you ask about I've been almost everywhere in Europe, and I've been a lot of places in the US. I've been few places in Asia, not too much in Asia though. I've been in Africa also as well. I am an American citizen now, but of course I am from Budapest, Hungary. I mean, for me, I love Europe. Europe is oh my God, it's just amazing. Food wise, I love to eat, and you can just get the best food in Europe. And I love how they have this culture about actually eating, and it's like a whole deal. I love all these kind of rules, like for example, Italians get, for example, let's say you go to Italy and you want to have a cappuccino 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They are not going to give you a cappuccino. Actually, they are not. They're gonna tell you like cappuccino, 2 o'clock. No. Cappuccino you drink in the morning. And it doesn't matter that you order that, they're just not gonna give you. And I love this attitude. I love these rules, these life rules. Having different experiences. I think one of my best experience was somewhere in Europe. I was playing in a concert, and at the end of the concert, one lady, I think the lady was from Finland, if I am not mistaken, she came to me and she told me, "Congratulations, the show was amazing." She said, "Can I tell you something?" I said, "Sure." "I hate violin." I said, "Okay, okay, great, thank you."
My goodness.
But tonight, I realized that I love it.
Ah.
So I think when it comes to experience, best memory, traveling, performing, I think this was one of my best memories.
That's a good one.
That's exactly what is my goal and what is my dream, to introduce the violin to everyone. Because some people, I think a lot of young people, they think that classical violin is a classical instrument. When it comes to children and children start to play the music, everybody wants to play guitar because the guitar is such a cool instrument,
You can be a
it's
rock
more
star playing
rare when
guitar.
it
Yeah,
comes to violin.
absolutely. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
But where do you see the violin? Nowadays, you see the violin, because of Instagram, social media, you see all the electric violins. But a few years back, that was not the case. And violin always was in the symphonic orchestra, and it's just such a serious instrument. People are playing dressed up, with black suit, it's just so serious. So
right.
when actually many times this experience I had before, I said, "Oh my God, this is what I want. I can introduce the violin that this is a cool instrument." So I think this was one of my best experience, traveling and meeting people.
And you do a lot of work in EDM and pop, but also for us, classical crossover, all sorts of genres. So that's great. Well, that's great. I mean, I can imagine if someone listened to me trying to play a violin, they might hate the violin and they might hate me too. But listening to you would be impossible. So there you go. All right. So you started playing violin when you were very young, then obviously, and I know your grandfather was a very famous Hungarian violinist. So let's talk about how you got to the violin.
Yeah, so I come from musician family. Everyone is musician for the last 100, 200 years. So when I was 6 years old, they asked me which instrument I want to play. It was never an option if I want to play or not. They just asked me which instrument. So I did choose the violin. And I must tell you that once I realized that you actually have to practice to be able to play the violin, well, I hated it. I never practiced it. I didn't want to do it. I said to my parents that there is no way. I wanted to be everything else. I wanted to be an actress, a doctor, everything, but definitely not a violinist. And I have a brother who is a pianist, and he's 10 years older than me. And he's the pianist of the National State Opera House in Hungary. That time already, when I was a kid, because he's 10 years older than me, he used to practice every day 6 to 8 hours
Yeah, it's a lot.
while I practiced, and while I practiced 10 minutes twice a week. So I had I had twice a week violin lessons, so I only practiced 10 minutes before the lesson. So it just definitely was not enough. And then one day, I just said to my parents that I will never be a violinist. I will do it as a hobby because they forced me to do it in a way, but I just never be a violinist. But then I was 13 years old, and my elementary school had a choir, and I was part of the choir because it was like a musical elementary school. So they went to a concert or to Italy for 2 weeks. So the conductor asked me to go with them and play some song on the violin. And of course I did it, and it was the last concert of the tour, the biggest concert of the tour. And I would say there were 300-400 people in the audience, all Italians. And I played a classical piece, and at the end of the song, everyone stood up and they started to shout in this nice, passionate, loud Italian style.
Mhm.
They were, shouting like "brava, brava, bravissima." So I actually remember the moment that I stood on stage. I looked around. I was shocked. Wow, all these people, how are passionately screaming? And I said, "You know what? I will be a violinist."
Mhm.
And I went back home, and in Hungary, but I guess everywhere in the world, when if you want to be a professional musician, you need to do audition to the music conservatory when you are at 14. So I was 13, so I only had like 10 months until the audition. And I said to my mom and to my teacher that I changed my mind now and I want to become a musician. And they actually told me that it's impossible because you did not practice for 6 years. It's impossible to catch up in 10 months. The 8 years you missed
Yep.
to catch up in 10 months to
Yep.
get in, with the audition. But I said that I really want to do it and I think I can. So I asked my teacher to give me the all the program, what if I played them good in the audition that they would take me. So she chose all the songs. I started to practice, never as much as my brother, but I did like a good 3-4 hours every day.
Mhm.
And the audition went well. And since that moment, when they took me in, and let's say I started the conservatory from the age of 14, I never questioned anything anymore. I knew that I want to be a violinist, I want to be a musician, and that's all I want, and nothing else. And that was the moment also when I realized that I want to continue what my grandfather couldn't. Because my grandfather, as you said, he was an incredible violinist and composer in Hungary.
His name was
But
Joseph Suha, if I think, right?
yes,
Yes.
Shuha, yeah,
Suha,
Shuha,
okay.
and he's from my mom's side, and he was a classical violinist. He also played Hungarian style of music, but he was a classical violinist. He finished the university. His teacher was one of the biggest Hungarian composer, Hubai Jenő, and he was. I just really cannot describe how good violinist he was. My grandfather, and he traveled the world. He had a little band, they played all this classical, beautiful music, and he traveled the world. But his biggest dream was to come to the United States and play his music and perform his songs. That time in Hungary, the political situation was not the best. So one time he went to this office to pick up his passport before traveling. And he believed in God very much. So he looked up and he said he believes in one and only, and that's up there. They took his passport, they deleted all his contract, they canceled all his contracts, and they deleted all his recordings from the radio. So basically, they killed him. He never left Hungary anymore. He started to play in very small bars and pubs, and I think a few years, 2 or 3 years later, he passed away.
Wow.
And he was still young. He was in his 60s. So he never made it to the United States, and his music never made it to the United States. So when I did decide that I will be a violinist, and I knew all these stories about my grandfather because so many musicians used to stop me in the streets of Budapest, and they used to ask me that, are you the granddaughter of József Suha? And when I said, yes, I am, they used to tell me all these beautiful stories about him. So I didn't know him. I'd never met him, but I just knew everything about him. And the moment I decided that I would like to become a violinist, I also decided that I want to fulfill his dreams. I want to live for his legacy, and I have to play his music in the United States. So that's why the Carnegie Hall concert happened, because that's why I moved to the United States. And that's why I'm here, because I had to make it happen. Yeah, it is beautiful and sad at the same time. And when I had the Carnegie Hall concert, the name of the concert was The Untold Melodies, because I was playing his songs. It was on the poster, we had his picture on the left side with the black and white Budapest.
Yep.
And my picture on the right side with colorful New York.
Yeah.
And when I saw the poster on the wall of the Carnegie Hall, the day before the concert, I was walking there. I must say I cried because I said, "Oh my God, my grandfather made it not only to the US, he made it to the Carnegie Hall." And I have tears now when I am just talking about this, because it's very emotional for me and for the family.
Yeah, touching and wonderful. And is that part of the impetus for your previous music video, Redemption, that I was watching?
No, Redemption is one of my first. No, it's not one of my. It's actually my first original song, which I made with my producer. Because during COVID, musicians went through so many things, and after COVID, I decided that it's not only I need to continue my grandfather's life. Unfortunately, because the Hungarian government deleted everything about him, I only had 10 songs from him. He wrote hundreds and they all disappeared. And I only have 10. So from those 10 songs, we had the concert in Carnegie Hall. And then I said that I will also make an album from his songs. But then I said I will have to make my own, so kind of continue
You
the
do.
roots.
That's it, right?
So Redemption is my first own song, and now we also gonna have my first album with all original songs very soon. So yeah.
You had another tune, Rebirth, which was recent, which made it to #1 on both the UK and USA iTunes classical chart. So
Yes.
congratulations for that. And you have a new
Thank you so
single
much.
coming out shortly. I know, Heart of Diamonds, which we heard a little bit on the intro. We'll hear a little bit more as we leave when we do. But tell us a little bit about what you're working on now in Heart of Diamonds, if you would.
Yes, yes. So Heart of Diamonds, the single came out already a few months ago, but the music video is going to come out very soon. I think in the next like 2, 3 weeks, and I am very very excited because this music video is going to be. You will all see that this is going to be like a definitely first time thing, and I cannot tell you much about it, but you will actually see how you told me that I played in, I mean, how we talked about it, that I played in so many countries. The music video gonna have this message because the music video is going to take us to Paris, to New York, to Budapest, to Asia, to I don't even remember, to so many different countries just in 3 minutes. We're gonna go,
Nice.
and I'm very very excited, and I work now with the biggest record label of Hungary, which is part of Warner Music, and they helped me with this music video, and I am so excited for all of you to see. And also now, as I said, we are also working in a new album which is going to be only original songs. Heart of Diamonds is gonna be also the name of the new album, and it's gonna be on I think in April it's gonna come out. So the end of
Wonderful.
February, beginning of March, the music video, and then the full album in April. Also, what I would mention here, that when I sit down with my producer to make an album with original songs, we had one goal, only one. As I said, as we said, I come from classical music, but I try to play everything. I play a lot of EDM, pop, nowadays music, because I really like to. I like to make the music likable for every age, for every country. When we made Redemption as the first song, many people came back to me with messages, emails, phone calls, comments, and all were saying that, oh my God, when I listen to this song, this is like you, this is like Bernadette. So I said, okay, that's actually the best comment I can have. So this was our goal with the album, to make actually a music style, make our music style. When you listen to the music style, everybody gonna say, "Oh wow, this is Bernadette." It's no question who is this music, who is playing, because this
Very
is her.
good.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
music is gonna be classical, EDM, pop, a little bit of Disney, a little bit of film music,
Uh-huh.
crossover, a little bit of everything, which is gonna be all me.
Wonderful. All right. And you said it's coming out in April.
Yes,
Well, we don't have long to wait. April will be here before we know it.
yes, I'm
Yeah,
very
and it'll be
excited.
there for you too. So I hope that everything's ready to go. So are you going to be
Thank you.
touring to promote the album once it's out? What's your tour schedule look like for 2025 if people want to see you perform?
Yes, so that's the plan. We are still working on the actual dates, but most probably now, if when the album comes out in April, in May I'm gonna go to Europe, and I'm going to be in Europe from May most probably until September. I think the first concert is going to be actually in Hungary and Budapest, as I am Hungarian and as the record label is also Hungarian. Is gonna We have to start it there,
Totally makes
and then
sense.
probably yes, and then probably we are going to do a few concerts in Croatia as well, and around Hungary in some different cities, and then I will see for the rest of the schedule for Europe, and then September I will come back to the US, and then I have some big plans for the end of the year for Florida and hopefully some other states as well.
That sounds great. Bernadette, I know we talked a little bit before we got started about your efforts in philanthropy and supporting mental health organizations and so forth. Let's talk a little bit about that and what you're doing.
All my life, since I play music, since I perform, I always like to help with music if I can. So I always was part of a lot of charity concerts already back in Hungary and back in Europe. I organized actually charity events through my music to help children, most of the time children, or also mental health organizations, a lot of things, and it's very important to me. I got a lot from my country, I got a lot from the US, so it's very important for me always to give back to the community. And I think this is one of the most important thing that we as musicians we can do. So now actually next month, yeah, in March, there will be, for example, a big fundraiser in Naples, Florida, and I will be one of the main act also there. It's a lot of information about, so we don't have time to now I tell you all these things, but I know that all the donations are going to go for the human trafficking, like Organization for Human Trafficking and Sex Trafficking is very sad because there is a lot of children involved, unfortunately, in these cases. Recently, I have been in an orphanage home where I actually met some young teen mothers who went through similar situations. I played some music for them, and also we had some nice conversation. And actually, that experience made me decide that I want to help even more in this field, let's say. So this year we are having a very big plan, which I cannot tell you much about it, but we are working in a very big plan. I have a few people helping me about that. Hopefully, I will be able to do that the end of the year because it's a huge plan. So it will require a lot of help. But if we can make it happen, then hopefully this will be something we can do every year. First starting in Florida and then everywhere in the United States. So I am always there when it comes to charity, and especially when it's about children. I have a 2 years old at home, and I always liked children. But since I became a mother, I became even more emotional, which is, I don't know even if it's possible because I've been always very emotional as a musician. So, but since then, children became more important to me because we are lucky. My son is so lucky that we have everything, and then we can provide so many things. And unfortunately, there are so many children around the world who is in poverty and who is in danger. And if I can help through music, then I am all in.
That's great, Bernadett. We wish you the best with that. Keep us posted, of course, on anything that we can do or I can do to help you. That would be awesome. Bernadett, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Instagram, Facebook, social media, and website. Instagram and Facebook is super easy. Is Bernadett Violin, and website is Bernadett Official. YouTube is also Bernadett Official. Make sure that you are out looking for the new music video on YouTube or on Instagram. Important thing is that my name Bernadett is without E at the end. That's the only special thing about my name, and that's how people can actually find me even easier. One letter less.
Yep, and your last name is Nyari.
Yes.
Bernadett, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great learning about all of your history, your story, what you're doing, and I'm sure we'll have you back shortly after April when you've got new things to share with us. So we wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much, David.